Okay, so I'm thinking of starting a mini series of answering a couple of questions, seeing that I've been through certain processes when it comes down to doing an ADU in Connecticut, specifically Bridgeport, because every town have their different rules. And I think the first place where I want to start is answering the question of how do I get a permit for building an ADU in Connecticut, specifically Bridgeport, Connecticut. And the first step is to go through your zoning office. They're the first step. They're the ones that are going to give you the yes or the no. They're the ones that are going to tell you the next steps you can take, or how to verify certain information, what is required. After going to the zoning office, then you have to go to the building department. And I would suggest like each step of the journey. So the first step is zoning office. When you speak to one person in the zoning office, don't just take one person's word for it. Call again and speak with somebody else, because what I've experienced so far is you speak to one person say one thing. You speak to another person say something. So it's better to always cross-reference your information, or it'll be just a huge hurdles in whatever you're doing. So after you speak to the zoning office, right, and they give you the go ahead, then you have to speak to the building department, because in order to do anything you have to have a building permit. Once you speak to the building department, they'll tell you what's needed. So for me, I had to get first zoning permission. Building department won't let you do anything until you go to zoning. I had to get zoning permission. Then I had to get, it's a year ago, I'm trying to remember. I had to get a survey done to measure out boundary line between my house and the neighbor's house, because in our area it's so congested, in Bridgeport it's so congested, so they wanted to make sure that there's enough spacing. So I had to get a surveyor to come to survey the property. They had to be like a building, like an engineer, to come and check and make sure everything is structurally sound. I had to get blueprints to bring in for both zoning and building department, I believe. And then once I did all that, sent everything in, I had to give them time to look over everything, verify that everything is as needed. And that took a long time. That for me to send everything in and to wait for them to respond, for me to pay for the permit, took 5 months, I believe. 5 months and like change. And that's just a bunch of like waiting. You literally can't do anything about it other than just wait. Ever so often, you're able to call the person that they put assigned on your case, but that person can't do anything other than tell you to wait, because there are people ahead of you that they need to wrap up before they can review your case and approve you. So once my person that was assigned to my case reviewed my paperwork and approved me, then I had to put in the estimate for how much I believe building the apartment would be. That's something I didn't expect, because I did put an estimate initial, because they have this new system where everything is online. So when you make your profile, you got to put information in, upload documents, and there's a section that says how much do you estimate you will be doing the apartment for. Based on my research, I put the estimate. Not just that, I know that whatever estimate I put will also be what they tax. So I'm trying to make sure it's not that high, because then my tax is going to be high. So I put, based on what I researched, the amount that I believe it would be to build it, the amount that I'm shooting for to build it. Makes no sense. Don't make no sense. Whoever is assigned to your case, just ask them what is the high end of what they expect and what is the low end of what they expect. Because what I put, they refused it. And when I changed it, they refused it. Then I had to ask that question, what is the amount that you guys expect to put? And then they told me that there's a certain minimum amount. Like, it's almost like there's a minimum amount that they need to see before they even approve your case. And I had to ask, okay, then what is it? Just let me put whatever you guys require, because there's no way around it. Apparently there's no way around it. So why are you guys asking? Just tell me what to put so I can move forward. So the low end, because like I said, whatever you put is pretty much what they're going to value it for and what they're going to tax you for. Granted, at the end of it, they will have somebody to come and appraise it and still tax what they think they want to tax. Ridiculous. But I asked, can I get the low end? Because apparently, whatever you put for how much you think is going to cost to build, that's how much they're going to charge you for the permit fee. So I asked for the low end, and apparently low end was $85,000. $85,000. In my head, I'm like, why would it cost $85,000 just to convert a little small space like that? $85,000. That's what it was. So I had to put $85,000. That's what made the paperwork go through, and then they charged me the permit fee. The permit fee for that was almost $4,000, and that's something that no amount of research can prepare you for how much they're going to charge you for a permit fee. No amount of research. You just got to make sure you have a certain amount of money on hand so that you're able to pay the permit fee so you can get the process going. So I had to pay that money. I would also say, because it's people behind the paperwork, if you're okay with explaining to them, because the reason why I was able to even get the low end of the expectations that they have for building the ADU is because I explained to the lady, like, I'm a single female that's working multiple minimum wage job just to try and get this done. Would you possibly mind just like letting me know what's the lower end of what is expected, just so I can move on, because I can't necessarily afford a certain amounts, you know what I mean? And that's the only reason why I was able to put what I put and pay what I paid. Had it been anything else, it would have been way more money. So that's the second step. Like I said, once you upload everything that is required, once you get the building department approve it, the zoning department approve it, everything's on your profile, then you have the building permit that you have to print out, keep on site. You gotta print out the blueprint to keep on site for all the workmen, and you just continue working. In my area, the building permit does have like an expiration time to it, but at the same time, it's dismissible if you don't abandon the project. So my building permit, I believe, is gonna expire this year because it's been a year. But once I spoke to them, they say as long as you don't abandon the project, it's fine. As long as you keep us updated that the project is still going on, it's fine. Same with the zoning department. The zoning department permit actually expired like 2 months ago, but I made sure to call them to make sure that there's nothing wrong, and they said, like, as long as you're just still doing the project and the law still stands, it's fine. So that's one thing to also be mindful of. But other than the waiting process, other than the in-betweens of like organizing and relay your desires to your architect and making sure the architect is able to get everything done in the space, and then uploading that and uploading whatever other documents is needed, and then waiting, it's not that hard. It really isn't that hard. At least I would say it's complex, but it's not necessarily hard. You have to do a lot of research. You have to do a lot of cross-referencing. Like I said, if you speak to one person, don't just take one person's word for it. You got to call and see what somebody else in the same department says, because, you know, they're handling a lot of information, and one person know one thing and another person might not know something else. So it's just good to like cross all your T's and dot all your I's. And remember that at the end of the day, behind all this paperwork, there's people. And if you're willing to reach out to people and connect on a people level, it does help your process to move up a lot smoother. Because even to begin with, in my past videos, I explained it like a testimony of how God worked it out. I wasn't supposed to necessarily be able to do this because when I called last year, January, trying to see if it's possible in my area, like all my research said it wasn't possible. Like they don't want it to happen. They're talking about congestion. Bridgeport was already so congested, and like parking and all type of like different ins and out. But I said, you know what? I prayed about it. I believe God gave me permission, and if God gave him permission, then he's gonna make a way. So I called the zoning department trying to get information to see if it's really allowed or not, because like I said, every research was saying it's not possible. I called the zoning department, asked the person, they said they're not, it's a high chance that it won't happen because they don't want it to happen. And if it does happen, I would have to do a petitioning before city council, like making my case, letting them try to decide whether or not they would give me permission, like an exemption. That was in January. And then in March, I believe, someone from zoning office reached out to me and just told me insider information like, hey, I remember talking to you a couple months ago. You left an impression on me. I'm not sure if you're still interested in doing the ADU, but there's talk in the office that they're about to, like, on the books, get rid of it. There would be no petition or anything. However, I found like if you put your paperwork in, that this the Monday they want to have the city council meeting to get rid of it. If you put your paperwork in, this is like Wednesday or Thursday. If you put the paperwork in now, by Monday, if they decide and vote for it to be outlawed, you'll be grandfathered in. You already be in. You can't get rid of it. So that in itself was like God making a way, even though it seemed like it wouldn't be possible. And that's how I am here now. And that's the very thing that's keeping me going. Like knowing that even though I'm working multiple minimum wage jobs and the amount keeps increasing, especially in the last year with all these tariffs, like I'd have never expected tariffs to hit. And I'm still able to do it, still pushing through, still getting it done, even with the many unexpected things that's happened, even just recently. Still pushing through and still like having the vision and still going. So I would say, all in all, to proceed with doing an ADU in Bridgeport, Connecticut, first things first, have a vision, make it plain, and do your research. When you do your research, call people. When you call people, cross-reference. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to re-verify what you think you're already certain about. Remember that behind the paperwork, there's people. Reach out to the people, and they're actually willing to help. A lot of times I heard people saying, they don't like dealing with the zoning office. They don't like dealing with city hall. And honestly, if you have the right approach, from my experience so far, if you have the right approach and, be honest and upfront, they're all really, really helpful. I've yet to experience one where I've had a bad experience. Everybody's been so genuine, so helpful, and their approach is to want to see Bridgeport thrive and help facilitate certain type of growth. So yeah, that's the simple 1, 2, 3 of how to get a permit in Bridgeport, Connecticut, in order to do an ADU. Yeah. Oh, let me know if in the comments if you guys have any questions or any things that you would want me to answer. Like I said, I'm trying to do a little docu-series or answer questions pretty much, seeing that I've been doing it. I've gone through certain processes so far. Maybe I can help. I would like to help if I can help. So yeah, feel free to ask your questions.